Safe Harbor is a really small nonprofit, small but mighty, and we build upon the power of multidisciplinary teams to coordinate the investigative response to allegations of child abuse in a child-friendly setting where the needs of the child are the primary concern. Within this single setting, the combined resources and expertise of Child Protective Services, law enforcement, prosecutors, victim advocates, forensic interviewers, mental health, and medical professionals collaborate to limit any additional trauma to the child and their non-offending caregiver, while also assuring that a high-quality and competent intervention which leads to accountability for offenders and hope and healing for children. Child advocacy centers, which are known as CACs, and multidisciplinary teams are critical to healthy, safe communities. A recent study demonstrated that 80% of cases in CAC communities reached a criminal charging decision within 60 days of report, as opposed to non-CAC communities, which on average, just under half of the cases, so 50%, reached a charging decision in the same amount of time. Also, communities with CACs have a 196% increased rate of felony conviction of child abuse cases as compared to non-CAC communities. Amazing. Lastly, CAC communities increase the likelihood that maltreated children receive medical care and mental health treatment. Since its inception, Safe Harbor has served more than 3,100 children, placing them on a path to hope and healing and justice. We rely on the philanthropy of the community to deliver our mission and are fortunate to operate in an environment and a region that's extremely supportive of our work. We're going to be reading over 8,500 names today, but we know that more than 8,500 children were likely abused in our region. But because those children were not in the presence of their teachers, mandated reporters, we believe that many children's cases went unreported altogether. And so we looked for a way to represent those children today. And they are represented by the flags that you see in front of me. So these flags, there are approximately 1,500 flags here. So experts believe that at least another 1,500 cases may have been reported in 2020, but were not because of COVID and because of kids not being in school. So visitors today have the opportunity to support a child and essentially move them from the ground of silence into the garden of hope. And you can do that through a donation to Safe Harbor. Lynn over here will help you do that, or many of our volunteers will help you do that. Some folks have already done that. I'll be doing it in a few minutes. So I invite you to do that. We want to recognize all the children that need our help, and it's not just the 8,500 whose names we'll be reading today. There are more. So there's lots of work to be done in our community.
Since we did have or are still in the middle of a pandemic, I want to start with number 0. So I want to start with number 0 because number 0 is that kid that didn't have the outlet to reach out because of COVID, because of the fact that they were not in school. They didn't have somebody to reach out to say, hey, this is happening to me. So I'll just take 5 seconds of silence and I'll just say 0 before I add a name, if you don't mind. So then I'll get started. So the first name I would like to read is 0. Thank you.
Jane Doe 3, Jane Doe 15, John Doe 7, Jane Doe 12, Jane Doe 6, John Doe 8, John Doe 10, Jane Doe 4, Jane Doe 16, John Doe 9, Jane Doe 3, Jane Doe 15, John Doe 11, Jane Doe 4, Jane Doe 13, Jane Doe 5.
John Doe 7, Jane Doe 5, Jane Doe 14, John Doe 2, Jane Doe 12, John Doe 5, Jane Doe 13, John Doe 9, Jane Doe 16, Jane Doe 1, John Doe 11, Jane Doe 15, Jane Doe 4, John Doe 12, Jane Doe 4, Jane Doe 11,
8, Jane Doe age 14, Jane Doe age 4, John Doe age 7, Jane Doe age 8, Jane Doe age 11, John Doe age 1, Jane Doe age 5, Jane Doe age 7, John Doe age 12, Jane Doe age 17, Jane Doe age 13, John Doe age 10, John Doe age 17, Jane Doe age 6, John Doe age 4, Jane Doe age 10, Jane Doe age 7, Jane